and this came from Gerard. He listened to Sean Ross Sapp's Q&A. I think I would have to pull it up. I don't think I have it verbatim in front of me. Hold on, let me see if I can find it really quick. Um, let's see. Hold on. Sorry, this is bad radio. So this is from Gerard. He sent me a message. He says, Sapp on his Q&A, to the best of his knowledge, Anthem isn't currently interested in shopping TNA to other networks. And that AJ Francis was likely the one who set up the simulcasting on Twitch with some of the top content creators. So there's two things there. So first, TNA not actively being shopped to other networks. They've tried to shop that show in other networks, and the ratings are as low now as they've ever been. It's going to be a difficult thing to sell, and you're not going to be able to sell it with the show looking the way it does. Although it did look a lot better this week, by the way. I will say, I thought the video production was pretty good. And the audio, I don't think it was picking up the crowd as good as it was on Friday night for Against All Odds, but I still thought the audio was pretty good too. So the show looks much better since this new director has taken over. And guys, I don't know who that new director is. So, but since Sahadi has left, so far with Against All Odds and Week 1 Impact, the show has looked much better. But until it becomes looks like a more professional television show, and like BQ said, more like NXT, less like MLW, they wouldn't be able to get anybody to bite on that thing anyway. So now, while they might not be actively shopping, I get the feeling that if the right deal came their way, they would take it. They'd be fools not to. But I would say start looking. I bet there'd be rumblings in 2025 of some of these video production or these upgrades and the venue upgrades that they say that they're going to do, which I'm still pretty skeptical about because I just don't really have a lot of faith in them to get things done. But let's say that the 2025 they move to Full Sail, or they move to something like Full Sail, and the show just looks a lot better. At that point, then they could probably start pitching it to networks, and they might actually get a bite. I'm not saying they get a lot of money. They're probably not, but they could probably get an ad split deal and a production split deal with one of those lower tier sports or lower tier networks. But I mean lower tier. I mean lower on the lower, not TBS, not TNT, USA, but something much lower, in the middle of the pack, but would still be a significant upgrade over Access TV. So that's what I mean by a lower tier channel. So I could see that happening. Now AJ Francis has been a good hire for TNA. He has brought some celebrities in, and they like that, and I think that we're going to see a lot of that going forward. And now he has helped TNA partner with a lot of Twitch streamers who I think they're like these kids that they play video games on Twitch and people watch them. I don't know. I've never been I guess I'm too old. I have no idea. But they used to do that when TNA was on Twitch. They would allow you to stream the show. In fact, I had a Twitch account and I tried to stream it one time, and then I just didn't understand it, so I never did it again. But they had it on there. So now they're allowing people to stream the show on their Twitch channels. They have to do it in a certain way where it's not just the entire TNA feed, but they're providing commentary over the video, and half of the video is them and half of the video is TNA. And so I think that's a cool thing. And a lot of those guys have a lot of followers, and they're real popular, and whatever they can do to get buzz. And everybody wants to know why TNA is doing this deal with NXT. It's exposure and buzz. That's all this is about. And what does NXT get out of it? Well, they had their highest rated show in a long time. And part of it is because the TNA buzz. Honestly, nobody wants to give them credit for that, but it really is. And it's not that TNA is this popular thing. It's not the case, but it's something unique and different, and it's exciting the NXT fan base. And so they're oh, you never know who's going to show up. And so they teased that TNA stars would be in that battle royal, and they were. And then next thing you know, it's the highest rated show they've had in a long time. And it's the first time that they have beat AEW in forever, because AEW had their lowest rated show in history this week. So the NXT TNA thing is working for both sides at this point. Um, let's see. Billy has a good point. He says MLW does a better job with sponsorship, so I think there's room for improvement with TNA. Well, yeah, well, it's because TNA has no sponsorships. TNA has like this threshold. So the MLW sponsorship with Bet Online and those are very low level. There's not a lot of revenue there, but it's some revenue. But for TNA, they would want like significantly more money than what MLW is getting. BetOnline.ag sponsors stuff like they used to sponsor Fight Game, and and by sponsor Fight, it wasn't a lot of money. It was very, very, very little money, but that's how they got their name out there. They would sponsor tons of podcasts, kind of like Blue Chew and all that stuff. Like Bet Online is one of those deals, so they're probably getting like a certain amount of ad revenue that would be comparable to what Fight Game got for the podcast back in the day, back when I first started there. So yeah, um, but TNA has no sponsors like whatsoever. So if this guy could bring in some, that'd be better. But I think that they're not going to accept anything less than they feel they deserve. Io says my thing is if Invicta CBS thing works out, maybe Anthem and Paramount can start to build a relationship. You know what? I just don't see it. I really don't. You know, Paramount worked really hard to get away from pro wrestling. You know, they got rid of TNA, and next thing you know, they got rid of Spike. They turned it into Paramount Plus, and they really tried to change what that network was. And then TNA was on Pop TV, and Pop TV didn't even want it. So even though it was the highest rated show on that network, it just didn't fit in with their other programming. Because Pop TV is like they like to show reruns of soap operas. That's what they do. So, yeah, I just don't see it. It would be nice, like it would be an upgrade. What would benefit Mike Gilbert the most would be like if TNA just went to Paramount Plus, like everything, the show, all their pay-per-views, all the premium specials, like if everything, no cable network, no nothing, just everything goes to Paramount Plus, which is a big streamer. It's not as big as Netflix or Disney or anything, but it is like one of those, like a top 10 streamer. And I think that would benefit Mike the most, but I just don't see it because I pay the $11.99 for Paramount Plus. My daughter really likes Dora the Explorer and Paw Patrol and Blaze and the Monster Machines and all that, and I like some of the shows that they have on there too. So it's worked out for us as a family. But I also like that they have the local CBS channel. So if I don't have like an antenna and I need to watch like Sunday football, I can just put on Paramount Plus or put on Peacock, which also does the local NBC affiliate. So that's pretty cool. I'm trying to think if there was any other news. Oh yeah, lastly, before we get to the recap, Slammiversary, according to Matt Hardy. Now this is according to Matt Hardy. Matt Hardy has been known to exaggerate in the past. But I don't have any reason. I don't have any evidence that says that he's lying here. But we're gonna go ahead and talk about it. Matt Hardy says that Slammiversary has sold 2,300 tickets already, and they're like a month out. So 700 tickets to go before I would have to wear a Big Con t-shirt. I feel pretty confident now that he said that I'm not gonna have to buy a Big Con t-shirt. Swig of coffee from me. So, yeah, that's a lot for TNA. 700 tickets is a lot, and what they've been doing, and this is, I think it's smart, but I think they're gonna have trouble. They're gonna have trouble at Slammiversary, and here's why. PCO's been going around to local businesses selling big blocks of tickets. Like he even shown that on Twitter where he sold 70 tickets to one guy who is just kind of a sponsor now. It's that guy's job to either resell those tickets or give them away to people that'll be willing to go. Here's the problem. I think that's going to lead to a lot of empty seats. I really could see that there's going to be a lot of empty seats. Like, hey, they sell say they get to 2,700. I don't think they're getting to 3,000. But say they get to 2,700. I'd be surprised if 2,000 people showed up. I really would. And so they would have to like get people to move towards to fill some of those seats because they've opened it up wider and wider and wider. It's because they've been selling all these block tickets, hoping that the people that they're selling them to are then going to be able to distribute those tickets on their behalf. Um, and that's going to be the tough part. Billy says sales or tickets distributed. I don't know. I don't know the exact quote, but I know they have sold tickets to sponsors, and I'm sure they're giving a lot of tickets away. They're going to do whatever they can to fill that building up, and I applaud that. I respect it. I think that they should. I don't care if they sell them. It's not my money. Just make it look good on TV. That's all I care about. That's got nothing to do with me. So, but yeah, I think that this could, unless they're able to distribute those tickets that they've sold in this block format, unless they're able to get individuals to get those tickets, I think that they're gonna have a tough time filling up those seats. So I hope I'm wrong, but it is something to be made aware of. I don't want them to get Ja ruled, right? You guys know what happened with Ja Rule, right? So a little quick story. He had this big concert in New York City, and his rival, one of the biggest haters in the entire world of all time, like a legendary hater, 50 Cent, bought up half the tickets himself. So that way when Ja Rule showed up thinking he had a sold out crowd, really it was only half a house because 50 Cent had bought up the other half of the tickets and just kept them. Because he is a legendary hater. Legendary hater. And I'm like, I love that kind of pettiness. That is a respectable pettiness. so but that I worry that they might get Ja ruled there at Slammiversary. So we'll keep an eye on it. I hope I'm completely wrong. I hope people show up. Like Montreal is a great wrestling town. They really did pick a good place to hold Slammiversary. A great wrestling town, and they got PCO. I think they're gonna get a lot of people. They'll definitely break their record that they had at Hard to Kill. Or I'm sure that's already been broken, but as far as like getting people in the building, it's gonna be much higher than what they had at Hard to Kill. So now if you look at Hard to Kill, 1600, and you look at Rebellion 1200, and then now Slammiversary they're well over 2000. This is gonna be like their best year in ticket sales since Anthem's bought the company by far. And that guy Lavi Margolin, who says that TNA only does 200 tickets everywhere they go, he will try to leave that part out. So he will not try to factor that into the overall into the overall average. You'd be like, well, if you take out these big shows, they only average 200. I was like, yeah, a lot of their tapings they only do 200, but for their bigger shows, they're doing a lot better. And plus, that Against All Odds did 1,200. Against All Odds sold as many tickets as Rebellion did. So I think this is as far as ticket sales, it's going to be their best year on record for a long time. And then hopefully next year they get those venue upgrades and the TV looks a lot better. 2025 is primed for a good year. Okay, and then of course they also announced the South Carolina loop. Yep. So they're coming to Spartanburg, South Carolina in September, which that would be the last tapings before they head into Bound for Glory. Bound for Glory is looking like it's going to be October 26th ish, that time frame. So, and lastly, the Hardy Boys. They're still not signed with TNA. They have made it known to everybody that are willing to listen that they are free agents. They're not going to be signing contracts here. So he will be or they're just on like a per date deal. They have like a temporary, like a few months deal here. So they're not signed. I think they're just holding out hope that they'll get back to WWE. Unfortunately for them, I don't think WWE is going to come calling unless it's for a Hall of Fame thing. So they might as well just stick around at TNA. TNA is really the only company right now that's going to value them because they are valuable to TNA. And I think this is a good fit. So I would hopefully, for the sake of both parties, they would figure out a way to sign a deal here and stick around for a while, because TNA is the only place that's going to let the Hardys be the Hardys. Now he was talking about Matt Hardy was talking about sorry, I lost my train. Matt Hardy was talking about, not being valued in AEW. The Hardys weren't being valued in AEW. Of course they weren't, because they brought Jeff Hardy in, and looks like they're about to do something with you guys, and then he got a DUI, and then they lost complete trust and faith and hope that they could ever do anything with you guys. And Matt, to his credit, has said, yeah, the part of that is Jeff's fault. It's 100% Jeff's fault. It's 100% Jeff's fault. There was no way Tony Khan was going to be able to trust that he could do something with the Hardys and then book them and put them in a prominent position, knowing that he could not trust them to stay out of trouble. That's all that is. That's all that is. Io says, apparently AEW didn't offer Jeff a new deal, according to Matt. Why would they? After what happened? Why would they? It's the ugly side of Jeff Hardy. The guy can't stay out of trouble. You can't trust him. And every time you think you can trust him, he lets you down. So there's no way that a big company like that is going to, continue to pump money into the Hardy Boys, knowing that they are not trustworthy. That's it. And as of right now, I don't think the Hardy Boys are going to be in Slammiversary. They're going to be in the Philly tapings coming up. They missed the Chicago tapings. They were against the laws, but they weren't there the next night, which I don't know why. But they're not going to be at Slammiversary because I don't think Jeff can get into the country. Now, I could see them doing some stupid ass pre-tape match, like a cinematic match at Slammiversary, and I think that would be a bad idea. I think you have the biggest crowd that you've had since you bought the company. I don't think you want to pitch to a previously recorded match for your pay-per-view. I think you want everything in front of that crowd. I think Slammiversary, you just don't have the Hardy Boys, or you just bring in Matt, but Matt without Jeff, unless you're going to do some type of broken thing with Matt, at the pay-per-view, not having Jeff, you have to explain that. And what you don't want to do is like, well, we would have Jeff here, but he has too many DUIs and Canada won't let him in the country because they actually have strong border laws. So they just can't do that. So, iOS, should TNA trust Jeff Hardy? No, but here's the thing. They can still, sign him, get him on paper for a long period of time, even though they don't trust him because of the position that they're in, because the Hardy Boys they bring value to TNA. They do. Now they could just not sign the guy and then just keep booking him on a case by case basis. I think that could be fine. But I think that like these are guys you're gonna want to have around. So what was the last thing that happened? The DUI or the Sammy injury? It was the DUI, and then he comes back, and then the last thing was the Sammy injury. Sammy tried to hit one of his moves off the top and nailed Jeff in the head. So, and then Jeff got a really bad concussion, so he's been out. He was out for a long time. Now he just never went back. Lucha says, "What if the Hardys matches on the pre-show?" Okay, I could be okay with that if they just do something for the pre-show. Yeah, I think that's a good alternative. If you just want to get them on Slammiversary somehow and just do a pre-show, that would be okay. Billy says cinematic matches kill the live crowd. They do. That's why I'm like, you got this big crowd, you don't want to kill them. You don't.